Did you guys know that Jodi Arias and Angela Simpson are in the same prison? Just an interesting little fact. Look, it's crazy to me when two worlds collide. But some of you may not know who Angela Simpson is right off the bat. You've probably seen her interview, or you might actually recognize her face. Angela Simpson has what I think to be one of the most famous modern interviews of all time. And not just in the true crime space, but I mean, so many people saw this. Years ago, after she committed her crime, an interview of her went up on World Star Hip Hop. And I think people were so fascinated because they had never seen anything so chilling, so serious. I mean, it was just something about her demeanor. You couldn't quite put your finger on it.
Angela, do you feel guilty?
Guilty? For ridding the world of a snitch? No, I don't feel guilty.
Now, there's a very specific reason for that. The interview was fake. I mean, kind of. I'll explain a little bit more later. But for now, I really want to guide you through what made Angela Simpson a psychopath. Because she truly is. If you guys have been watching me for a while, you probably know we don't use like psychology jargon here. I explain stuff to you that you can see with your own eyes, jargon free. But today I'm gonna use that word because I want you to know what a psychopath looks like. I feel like all the time people kind of mix up, well, what's a sociopath? What's a psychopath? I'm going to show you today a true psychopath, and I'm also going to tell you exactly how Angela Simpson was made. But before we watch the first video, I received this book in the mail a while ago, and it is Angela Simpson's biography, ramblings, writings, or of some sort. First of all, this woman is extremely neurodivergent, and I'm sure she has never been diagnosed in any way, shape, or form. But I'll tie that back into her childhood. I just want y'all to know that I personally will not be saying anything negative about Angela Simpson because she knows people outside of the jail. Okay, so don't say anything crazy in the comments, okay? Don't say anything crazy. Before we watch the video, I wanted to read you this very short excerpt from her book. At one point, one of the prison guards had asked Angela Simpson to take off her headscarf. She had recently converted to Islam and was very proud of this. And this officer told her, no, you can't wear that. You have to follow the dress code. To which Angela wrote, I was horrified by this disgusting piece of trash, by her repeatedly calling me names, her nasally tone dripping with gold-plated feces, her assumption that I would submit to her and disregard Allah by claiming to know the mind of God. The words that came out of her mouth were unbelievable. Later, I was unsure if I would sue her personally or just be satisfied with the change of policy. But I had some personal information about her gathered that began at her daughter's Catholic school. For some reason, when these pigs attack us, they don't realize that we are people with resources too. Girl, she know people. Don't say anything crazy. This lady just thought that she was at work for a day. Meanwhile, Angela's sending somebody out saying, hey, get some information from the school. What the fuck? So let's just go through the case. Hands in your lap, sit calmly, peacefully. But first, Angela. Now, look, of course, it is sinister. We have a team, and that means we've got sponsors today. And today's sponsor is Lumi. It's getting hot outside, guys. It's getting real hot. And you know what that means? You're going to sweat. And you don't want just any deodorant. You want something that is going to make you feel protected, keep your pits dry, and also have people saying, oh my God, you smell so good. That's exactly what you're going to get with Lumi. Lumi is a whole body deodorant that was actually created by an OBGYN that wanted to create more safe products that you could use from head to toe. So not only do they just have regular stick deodorant, but they've also got spray on, they've got full body wipes, anything that you need to control odor and make yourself feel more confident knowing that you are going out into that blistering hot sun. God, I hate being hot. I hate sweating. And you're going to know you're good. All of the products are baking soda free and paraben free, also pH balancing. Look, I told you, it was made by an OBGYN. She's looking out for everybody. She wants you to be safe. They've got scents like clean tangerine, lavender sage, or toasted coconut. The best part is you can actually just get a Lumi starter pack. It doesn't have to just be the deodorant. You can mix and match the different products that you want and get an additional discount with my code. So if you want 15% off, all you got to do is go to lumedeodorant.com and use the code SINISTER at checkout. That's LUMEDEODORANT.com. And then use the code SINISTER. That'll get you 15% off your order. But also, if you try the starter pack, you'll actually get a pretty good deal. For my audio listeners, we're watching a short little video, but you should be able to understand what's going on. And then we're getting right into the full story. This was right after her arrest, but before her conviction.
Why?
I don't want my children or the people I consider family to be in a place where there are snitches.
We sat down for a jailhouse interview with 33-year-old Angela Simpson, the woman accused of mutilating and dismembering Terry Neely, a man Simpson says she barely knew. He lived down the street in an assisted living home, but often rode around in his motorized wheelchair, a man Simpson considered a...
Sorry, that was a lot, huh? Now, listen, if you don't know this case, I need you to sit down. Just be sitting down.
A man Simpson considered a snitch.
He told on a righteous person years ago, and he told me that.
So what did he do? What did you do to him?
I killed him.
How'd you do it?
I beat him to death.
For how long?
How long did I beat him? 45 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Something else about this interview that's so kind of creepy is like when they asked her, how long did you beat him? It's very mild, but there's almost like an excitement in her eyes.
I beat him to death.
For how long?
It's that.
How long did I beat him?
It's that.
45 minutes, hour.
He was there for 3 days, right?
Yes.
What did you do during that time?
Well, I killed him and cut him up.
Just point to us. Show us where.
So this is the actual apartment where it happened.
What happened?
We went to the vacant apartment and took an exclusive look inside the murder scene.
You see the carpet's all been pulled up.
We found the carpets ripped and bleach Simpson says she used to clean the blood after hammering a 3-inch nail into Neely's brain.
Did you pull out his teeth? Did you put a hammer into his head, put a nail in his brain?
Yes.
Was he alive?
Sorry. Sorry. I just need a... Does anybody else sometimes have to pause and like recenter for a second? Like she just asked the most hardcore question ever and Angela's response is yes. Okay. And here's the thing. I'm about to tell you guys the story of her childhood and I'm watching this interview and I'm still scared. I don't know what to do.
Did you put a hammer into his head, put a nail in his brain?
Yes.
Was he alive during this?
Some of it.
Was he watching, looking at a mirror?
Yes.
Why'd you do that?
Because I wanted him to see what he deserved.
She says she made him watch through this mirror.
Angela, is this the first time you've done this?
No,
It's
Okay.
not the first time. What else have you done?
that's not.
But you've killed other people?
Well, they'll find that out.
Will you admit that you've killed other people?
Well, yes.
You've killed other people. How many?
That's irrelevant.
Why did you kill them?
Same reason.
While Simpson doesn't consider herself a serial killer, she claims she's killed a few.
I believe informants and child molesters should be killed, period.
As for Neely, she tells us she lured him inside offering drugs and sex, then after 3 days of torture, dumped his burned body in this trash can. And when police tracked it back to Simpson, she was already in jail accused of an armed robbery the day after the murder. And her reaction?
Kind of relieved, actually.
Why relieved?
Well, because finally.
Finally what?
No, I just,
Finally they caught you?
yes,
Because you've been doing this for a while?
Yeah.
For how long?
a while.
Simpson admits she takes medication and might be considered mentally ill.
You think something's wrong with you?
I think something's wrong with the world that I live in, but according to other people, yes, something is wrong with me.
As for something being wrong with murdering Terry Neely,
Angela, do you feel guilty?
Guilty. For ridding the world of a snitch? No, I don't.
Oh my God. You can literally see how offended she is when they ask, do you regret killing Terry? Like she's so deep in this code, this moral code that she's created for herself. The answer is purely, truly, absolutely not.
Simpson wouldn't elaborate on the other murders she claims she's committed, but when we asked her what she would want to say to the families of the victims,
What?
She said, quote, "They shouldn't have bred what they bred."
Okay, see, that's what we're dealing with today. That right there, that's it. And look, my job here on Sinister is to tell you exactly what happened in her childhood. A little disclaimer for anyone popping into Sinister for the first time. Here, we always try to do a bit of a dive on the childhood, and we have empathy for the child that they were. Children are innocent, okay? They are a product of their environment. They are led by whoever is in front of them. Very often, I cover cases of people that have committed horrible crimes, and I have a lot of empathy for the child that they were. But there is always a turning point. And I'll try to remind you when to take your empathy cap off. But I'm going to integrate a little of my thoughts and a little of my own personal experience here to shape her childhood a little bit more so that you guys can understand it. Because when I found this out about her, I was like, oh my God, everything clicked. Angela Maria Elizabeth Simpson was born November 29th, 1975. She was born in Indiana to a white mother and a black father. Her parents were not together. This was not like some holy matrimony or anything. They got together. When Angela was born, she asked the doctor, what is she going to look like when she gets older? Will she pass as white? The doctor looked at Angela Simpson's elbows and told her mother, she will not be white passing. And in fact, it'll be pretty obvious that she's black. And so Angela Simpson's mother, based on that information, decided to give her away. The original plan was that if Angela was born white passing, her mother would have kept her and raised her as a single mother. However, because she knew that Angela was going to look different than her and maybe some family issues, something, she decided that, no, let's just give her away. So Angela does get adopted pretty much immediately as a baby. But she was adopted by a white family that also was in a pretty much all white town. And she also went to a private school. She said in her book, quote, "So from the time I was a tiny baby, I was with a Blackfoot father that passed for white and a blonde, blue-eyed Italian mother. My life was insane and I followed suit swiftly." Angela also had 2 adopted brothers and then 1 little sister as well. She said that she never grew up around anybody else that was black. Her siblings were adopted black kids, but they also had identity issues. They didn't have any church members, any teachers, anybody that connected with them that was from their culture. This is a very rare, almost foundational trauma that, one, a lot of people don't really understand if they haven't experienced it. And 2, a lot of people think, well, it's not that bad. As children, everything is very basic, okay? You collect pieces of your identity from your environment, your parents, and then also what you look like. Your visual identity is unfortunately a pretty big thing. So if you are of a different race and you're born into a family that is not part of that culture, you're missing this like identity tether. And it's kind of confusing because everyone around you tells you, oh, it's not a big deal. It doesn't matter. We're all people. But it creates this identity confusion in children. Because at home, their family is treating them like they're just fine. And we'll talk a little bit more about Angela's mother, but she said that she was great to her. However, when Angela leaves the home and she goes to her private school with all of these kids that see she looks different, her experience is wildly different, okay? So children will start to piece together, well, even though at home they're saying everything is fine, how come when I go over here, it's the worst experience of my life? And what I mean by that, Angela said in her book, quote, "I was called N-word, Oreo, I can't even say some of these, mutt, and some other very nice things not growing up. And as a grown-up, now living in Kentucky, Georgia, Florida, I know racial discrimination intimately." this is like another thing that only people that have experienced it and constantly, I don't mean like one instance of racism. I mean like you got to be in like a town where you experience this. There's like a particular look that people will give you, especially in the South, when you're in a place you're not supposed to be. And the look is intended to let you know how they feel and also to study you, to observe you, almost with a sense of disgust. When you get this look, you know it. Angela's life in her hometown was nothing short of traumatizing. And the thing is, this was not a singular event. It was anxiety and fear every single day, Monday through Friday, every time she went to that school. Now, remember, I said that she had older brothers and a little sister. Well, she had two brothers, and one of her brothers she was cool with. Like, she likes that brother. They get along, it's whatever. And then the other brother, the one she didn't get along with so much, he became a cop. And in Angela's eyes, he became a very self-righteous cop. Now, this is somebody that she grew up with. She knows his behaviors. She knows what he's like. And Angela doesn't think that he's a great person, but the fact that he became a police officer is something that really bothered her because she was like, this is how all of you are. You're all pieces of shit and you put that uniform on and then you do more shitty things. I think that also because a lot of times authority or institutions can be represented by our parents or our school. Well, from a very early age, Angela's parents completely failed her. Boom, no respect for authority. That's going to be out the window, okay? And then next, her school fails to protect her from all of this racism. Boom, that's the next institution out the door. She has a history of not trusting larger organizations because although they say all these nice things and they're supposed to do this, that, and the third, every single one of these failed her. So I believe that because Angela Simpson felt like she didn't fit in racially, she was an adopted child, she was exiled and bullied and made fun of in school, she decided that she wasn't going to assimilate. She wasn't going to be a part of this society she was supposed to be plugged into. And sometimes when kids are rejected by their parents, institutions, and everything, they become more individualistic, which can be a good thing. They can create their own moral code. It's almost like they create this different world that they prefer to live in with everything that they believe is right. And they're like, fuck authority, fuck the institutions. You guys did nothing for me then. You'll do nothing for me now. I'm going over here. It's like, if the world gives you identity issues, the best thing that you can do is build your own identity. It seems like this might be the first seed that was planted that made Angela hate cops. I mean, all throughout her book, she refers to the police and the correction officers as pigs. She did it in her interviews. If you've seen a lot of her interviews before, she is always talking about hating cops. And personally, I think it's because she had a bad relationship with her brother. She thought he was a bad person. He went on to be a police officer. And also, I think she hates institutions and authority and does not trust them. People that succeeded in institutions respect the institutions usually. People that failed and were let down by the institutions go completely the other way. Today's sponsor is IQ Bar. And listen, if you've heard of IQ Bar before, they don't just have bars. They've also got liquid hydration. They've got coffee, the IQ Joe. Now, listen, the IQ Joe, I gotta tell you guys, not only does this stuff work, it's got a little lion's mane and magnesium in it, so it makes it a little bit less jittery for you, but also the IQ Joe has 200 milligrams of caffeine. Now look, here's the thing. I get to cheat. I only need about 80 to 100 milligrams of caffeine. I know some of y'all be drinking mad energy drinks, 3 coffees, da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, this 200 milligrams, this is for you. But if you're like me and you need a little bit less, guess what? You use half the pack and then you get double, okay? That's how I use my IQ Joe. It's amazing. You literally just heat up the water, pour it in, and boom, instant coffee. And not the crappy kind. It's pretty good for on the go and also, like I said, non-jittery. Of course, as long as you take the right amount of caffeine for yourself. IQ Bar has classic black coffee, toasted hazelnut, vanilla, whatever you may want to try. The other cool part is they have over 25,000 five-star reviews. Lots of people have tried IQ Joe before and they are a fan. But also, if you've heard me talk about this brand before, you know they have plenty of products that you can try online. And of course, as usual, you can get 20% off of all IQ Bar products, anything you want to choose on the website with my code SINISTER. All you gotta do is click the link in the description and use the code SINISTER at checkout. Now, despite this perceived poor relationship with her brother, she actually spoke very highly of her mother. And I believe this because it actually makes more sense that her life at home with her mother was actually quite loving, but then in school, it was a nightmare. She said in her book, quote, "Our adoptive mom, Mama, is extremely helpful and loving to all of us and has raised my babies in my absence. My absence before I got here as well as after." Now that's a quote from her while she was in jail. We'll talk about this a little bit more later, but Angela Simpson has children. She has 3 children, and her mother, their grandmother, took in all of her children after she went to jail. Now, not much is known about Angela Simpson after her formative years and her teenage years. I mean, she got into a lot of drugs, a lot of sex, a lot of, just kind of doing whatever. In fact, her daughter would later stop talking to her because she felt like her mother abandoned her for the street life. Angela adjusted really well to the chaos of street life. In fact, I look at her interviews, she probably thrived. People were afraid of her. Even though we don't have a lot of information from when she first grew up to the crime that we're about to go into, what I want you to think about for a minute is think about a girl that is a person of color, that is raised with some confusing identity issues that nobody can really explain to her. And for years and years and years and years and years, every day she goes into this place where people remind her not only is she different, but she's the kind of, quote, bad different. When people are hurting you emotionally daily because you look different and because they can, your only choice is to numb every single thing out. Now, of course, this is not entirely about Angela. It's also about a man named Terry Neely. Terry was an older guy. He was born in October of 1962. He had no children. He was never married. He lived in an assisted living home. He had a wheelchair and he was always alone. Terry knew some people here and there in the neighborhood, hey, Terry, but he legitimately did not have any friends at all. Terry was a paraplegic with a spinal cord injury, hence the wheelchair. But everybody always said that he was very kind. He would speak to anybody almost with enthusiasm, like he just wanted somebody to talk to. They were just kind of like, hey, Terry, whatever. There were no real deep connections. But they said that Terry was so eager to make friends that even if you weren't a friend, he just wanted to chat. And he also was apparently a very great listener. He just wanted to be in people's presence enough that he would just let people talk his ear off just to have somebody to talk to. Oh, God, dude. Hold on. Can we pause for a second? I just have to say, if anybody else is feeling the way that I'm feeling as I'm telling this story, it's like we just got through the childhood of Angela Simpson, which I greatly relate to. And it makes me so sad, right? And then now we get to Terry and what's about to happen. Humans and life it's so complex, but hear me out. If you had any empathy for a younger version of Angela and you don't know what is about to happen, I'm going to tell you to take your empathy cap off right now. I'm taking mine off. You saw I was understanding the early part of Angela's, and I am taking mine off and throwing it away. At one point, Terry actually witnessed something pretty bad happening, a crime. And he did what he thought that he should do, and he told the police. After this happened, Terry got so much praise from the police. They told him, thank you for watching. You really made a difference. This is amazing. And you got to understand, for a man that's in a wheelchair, that has no friends, no siblings, no wife, no kids, to be told by officers that, hey, Terry, you've done a great job. You did a really good thing. Keep up the great work, man. It gives him life. It gives him purpose. It gives him excitement. It gives him a lot of things. So he wanted to keep doing it. He wanted to keep doing well for the community. He wanted to keep getting that pat on the back from the police officers. And so, Terry was in his wheelchair looking around the neighborhood, looking around the assisted living home to make sure that everything was okay. And not only because he wanted a pat on the back, but because he cared. He hadn't found his mission, his purpose in life. But then something strange happened. Terry just mysteriously disappears one day. The assisted living home reported him missing on August 3rd. They had not seen him since August 2nd. Now, remember, he's a paraplegic, so this isn't like, oh, he's been gone for 3 or 4 days. We don't know where he is. Like, he has been missing for one day. It is unlike Terry. He could be in danger. Let's do something about it. So they went to the police and they filed a missing persons report. It had only been a day, but nobody knew where Terry was. At around 5 a.m. on August 5th, the police were called to a burning trash can. As they began to put the flames out on the garbage can, they noticed a charred body that was inside. Now, this garbage can was behind a church parking lot, so they reached out to the church and they said, the only thing that we could identify was that this was a white male. The church, starts to send around some information, but they find that everybody in the congregation is accounted for. The other thing is, it's more difficult for the police to identify this person because the body had been not only burned, but dismembered. The pastor made a statement after the find and said, "It's upsetting to us. We are sad for the family of the victim. We have no idea who the person was or what the situation was. We're here as a lighthouse for the community to try to help spread the peace of God here. We just hope that we can take this tragedy and try to turn it into something positive and good for the community." After the investigators ran the fingerprints, they were able to determine that this was the body of 46-year-old Terry Neely. They realized that Terry was in a wheelchair, so they had no idea what he was doing over here or what had happened. He was pretty far from the assisted living home, and they were trying to determine if the crime had happened there where they found the body or if it happened somewhere else and he had been dumped. So the best way to track this was to figure out, where is Terry's wheelchair? They do a little bit of digging and they find Terry's wheelchair outside of an apartment complex. Now, the crazy thing is, they go and one of the apartments is unoccupied. And inside of it, the carpet was pulled up in one particular area. There was a full-length mirror on the floor. There were blood stains throughout the apartment and also a giant bottle of bleach on the countertop. I mean, look, there's blood in the apartment. Terry's wheelchair is outside. The only question is, whose apartment is this? So they go and talk to the manager of the complex, and the manager tells them, and this is funny too. Immediately, the manager said, Angela Simpson and this guy named quote. I have to say this guy named, quote, Cracker asked to borrow the vehicle. That's his nickname. His name was Edward McFarlane, okay? And everyone, that was his nickname from everyone. And they said that he had a shaved head and his nickname tattooed across the large letters on his neck. Now, I've said it for the sake of the story. I'm going to refer to him as Edward moving forward because that just makes me more comfortable, okay? I don't care that he had it tattooed on his neck. His name is Edward. Thank you. So the manager says that Angela and Edward had asked to take the car, and there was also smoke coming from the apartment. And look, this person is just managing an apartment complex. They don't want nothing to do with whatever these people got going on. Y'all know most of the time people manage apartment complexes so that they get a free apartment. Like, you collect the rent and do all the stuff. You don't pay rent. Like in some properties, that's the reason why a lot of people do it. They don't want to deal with these crazy people. So he said Angela and Edward returned the car, and Angela straight up told him, I killed Terry, and if you tell anyone, I'll fucking kill you too. And then they just left. Now, what I think is crazy about this is Angela is terrifying, but the office manager straight up told the police what they had said. So now the mission is to find Edward and Angela. Well, guess what? It was pretty easy to find them because they were already in jail for armed robbery. And when the police approached Angela Simpson and asked her if she had anything to do with Terry's disappearance, she told them, oh yes, I killed him. On August 18th, 2009, just 2 weeks after Terry went missing, they were actually able to match up a blood sample that they had found on Terry with Angela, and she was formally charged with murder. Now, not only did she admit that she killed Terry, but she told them the exact manner in which she did it. And all of Terry's injuries matched the description of what she said she did. Here's the thing. There was no real connection between Angela and Terry. She had heard around town that he was a police informant or he was a snitch. And Angela, as a criminal herself, she does not like snitches. And then also she probably hates her brother. So she doesn't like people that are working with somebody like him, aka the police. So on this day, and Angela says this herself, she offered companionship and sex to Terry and convinced him to come upstairs to her apartment. I don't want to go into graphic and dramatic details about what Angela Simpson did to Terry, but I do need to tell you some of the things that she did so that you truly understand the brutality of this murder and who she was. As soon as he came in, she bound him to his wheelchair. She then placed him in front of a full-length mirror and started to remove his teeth while he was fully conscious and alive with pliers. She had her own monologues and things that she would say and look at him and stare at him while she did things to him like she was almost observing her prey. She also stabbed him with a knife at random times, over 50 times in the body and the neck. At one point, she beat him over the head with a tire rod. One of the most disturbing parts about this is that Angela did it all in front of a mirror, and she made Terry watch his own torture because she told him that, quote, this is what he deserved for being a snitch. Before she killed him, she slowly hammered a 3-inch rusty nail that she had found outside into his skull, and then she cut his throat. You would think that that is the end of it, but Terry didn't die. He survived that. This went on for 3 days while he sat in front of a mirror. And on the last day, she took a television cable and she strangled him with it, and then she dismembered him. Angela talked quite a bit in her book about her rage that she tries to keep at bay. I also thought it was interesting that she even spoke of her anxiety and how she would try to mask all of these things so that she could try to blend in and people wouldn't hurt her or make fun of her or something. And this tells me that Angela has a lot of bottled up rage inside of her. I think that the reason that she tortured Terry is because she was mad at people her whole life, and this is how it came out. And that's really scary, you know? That's really scary to be able to do that to somebody and to seemingly enjoy it. And it's also disturbing to hold that much rage in your body. I know we're in the middle of a true crime case, but if I can just say to anybody that was wronged when they were younger or holds a lot of rage for what people did to you, if you can, find moments to feel that anger. Because one thing that I've learned as an adult is that anger is usually covering up another emotion, fear, anxiety, hurt, something. And anger actually doesn't last as long as you think if you let yourself sit in it. going back to Angela's childhood, maybe she didn't have the tools, or maybe she didn't feel safe, or she didn't know what to do. I don't give a fuck. Like, at this point, I don't give a fuck about Angela Simpson. That's fucking crazy. But for you guys that are listening, a lot of us have bad experiences where we have to bottle up rage. She clearly had some very serious rage bottled up inside of her. So I think it's very important to look for healthy ways to release that. Think of it as a little pressure valve that you have to release. You have to. There is no reason for you to hold that anymore. There's no reason to contain that anymore. And it's certainly doing you no favors holding it in as rage. That's my little tidbit, because you guys know the whole reason I do this show is because I'm like, hey, look at your own behaviors. And if you relate to anything, or if something happened, like, you gotta take care of it. You gotta take care of it before you become a fucking monster. So on March 22nd, 2012, just a few years after everything, Angela pled guilty to murder, and she was given life. She also was given an additional 14 years for the armed robbery charges. But that's when we get to Angela taking interviews. The media was very fascinated by her. I mean, shit, a lot of us have been fascinated by her because we're like, what is that? What is making you tick and act this way? And I think the biggest piece for me is realizing that the original Angela Simpson video, it's slightly faked. I want to give you guys a little more information that we got from this book. It's, by the way, this is, I wouldn't necessarily put this on your reader list. I've given you most of the pertinent information that came from here. It's a lot of her talking about her journey into religion and converting. She seems to have a lot of ties to religion. In this book, she speaks a lot about fake and bad Christians, which I think is really interesting. I also talk a lot about fake and bad Christians. She seems to have put herself in a box where she does not believe that she is a good person. She knows she's not, but she seems to look up to and admire people that are genuinely righteous, religious, or good, which I just think is so interesting. She talks a lot about how she'd only met 2 good Christians in her whole life. And the way she speaks about them is like, oh, you are what you claim to be. And that is something she apparently respects. And she also talks a little bit about her biological mother, who she tried to get in touch with after her arrest. She got married, and she said that her husband located her mother, and her mother responded at first, but her mother got freaked out and eventually stopped writing. She also discovered that she had 4 half-siblings from her biological mother. She reached out to all of them, and none of them wrote back. Now, empathy cap reminder, some of you guys are going to be like, oh, her mom got scared and her brothers and sisters didn't write back. Bitch, she drove a 3-inch nail through a handicapped man's head, okay? Like, throw your empathy cap away for her, okay? She, at some point, she had a turning point. She's gone. We lost her, okay? The sad little girl that was in the classroom, she's gone. We lost her. She also, like I said, had 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter, who her adoptive mother, the one that she said was very wonderful to her, she raised them. Angela's first son is now a businessman with 3 children. Her second son got married and had 2 children. And then, like I said before, her daughter will not speak to her because she said that her mother chose the streets over her. Another little tidbit, there was a stalker who was obsessed with Angela Simpson after her interviews, and he started writing to her around the time of COVID. Eventually, she wrote him back and told him to stop writing her. She didn't like it, like, leave me alone, which is so interesting because Angela Simpson seems like nothing bothers her. But she actually admitted that this guy really got under her skin, and she, quote, imagined creative things that she could do to him. I think she also probably has a history of fantasizing about torture. She also mentions in the book that during her time in solitude, she never had too many problems with people or crowds. But now that she's out in this different unit and she's out in the yard, she claims that she has a lot of anxiety around big groups of people. She said regarding crowds, quote, like my rage, I have learned to hide this social anxiety and appear to be, quote, normal. Now, as I said, the original Angela Simpson video that you guys may recognize, This one is not exactly as it seems. You may have seen the 5-minute clip or maybe the 60-second clip that's all over TikTok, or God, some people even use it as an audio. But have you ever seen the ending? This is the part that she actually specifically asked to never be released.
Joseph Van Tress for the armed robbery. Yeah. I should have killed him, but I had to go.
Will you kill again?
If the opportunity arises, I hope so. Okay, we're done.
Are you done?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Angela.
Good shit, dude. That's gonna be crazy, isn't it? That's gonna be wicked. Make it look good, please. Oh, you're gonna put this on too?
Well, you know what?
Don't put the ending on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Honestly, best wishes to you and
Right.
ladies, thank you.
Thank you.